Hey everyone! Welcome to the Jeff Polen Music Ministry Virtual Banquet. I'm Jeff Polen, and man, I am so excited to share with you this virtual event. It's gonna be great. A lot of music, a lot of friends, a lot of great times.
Nate, bro, what are you doing?
Hey! I didn't know you were home. I'm Jeff Polen. I'm welcoming everybody to the Jeff Polen Music Ministry Virtual Banquet.
No, you're not Jeff Polen. I am Jeff Polen.
No, I think I know who I am. I'm Jeff Polen. Everybody.
No, you're not. I'm Jeff Polen. Now, if you don't mind, would you please get up out of my seat so I can welcome everyone and thank them for tuning in?
Oh, yeah, I'll get out of my seat if you want, but you can live in your own fantasy world. I'm just going to go out there and do my own Jeff Polen Music Ministry Virtual Banquet. You guys can follow me if you want. Oh, this is so bad.
Welcome to the 2020 Jeff Polen Music Ministry Virtual Banquet. We are so excited that you tuned in, and we have a really great event planned for you. Now, the bad news is we do not have Kidron Town and Country food to share together. Oh man, if you've ever been to a physical Jeff Polen Music Ministry banquet, then you know what a bummer it is to not have that food. We also don't have Better Life coffee to share together, which is super sad. Unless you RSVP'd. For those of you who RSVP'd to this event, I hope that by now you have received your free gift of Better Life coffee. Thanks to Joe and Heather at Better Life Coffee. They are awesome. Now, in the midst of the bad news, there is some good news. And the good news is that this event will continue to be available even after it premieres on Saturday, November 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching it with us, be sure to leave some comments, and I'm going to be responding to those comments as well. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching it after the fact, or if you'd even like to just share it with someone that you think would be blessed by this, feel free to hit that little share button no matter when you are watching this. Now, just to give you a quick idea of what you can expect from the virtual banquet, we are going to be sharing some songs together. That makes sense, right? Jeff Polen music. But we're also going to be hearing from some ministry advocates and some people who have been blessed by the ministry throughout the years. We'll also be looking forward to 2021, where I'll be sharing with you some of the things I believe God is moving us into for the coming year. I'm excited about that. I hope you'll stick around and hear about it. The Jeff Polen Music Ministry exists because of the faithful support of people who believe in the ministry and who have been blessed by the ministry. Our mission is to point others to Jesus Christ, who is the source of all truth, love, life, and good, and in the process, not to miss Him for ourselves. And we depend on the faithful support and prayers of individuals who believe in this ministry and who have become Jeff Polen Music Ministry partners. If you would like some information about becoming a Jeff Polen Music Ministry partner, or you already know you want to be one, we've made it easier than ever. You can jump right on the website, www.jeffpolenmusic.com. Click on the little link that says Become a JPM Ministry Partner. There's a quick little form to fill out, and we'll be in contact with you as soon as possible. Over the course of this crazy COVID summer, we have had to learn, probably just like you, to improvise, adapt, and overcome in order for the gospel to continue to go forward and to be able to make disciples who make disciples like Jesus called us to do. One of the events that we typically are part of every summer, I've had the privilege of leading worship at Lead the Cause, which is a one-week mission trip that Dare to Share Ministries puts on. Typically, it's in Chicago, Illinois, Denver, Colorado, Washington, D.C., Austin, Texas. But this year, with the shutdown, it had to move into a virtual event. Now, what Satan means for evil, God means for good. And because it got taken into a virtual event, there were over 1,000 students who were able to log in. Over 6,000 gospel conversations took place throughout the course of that week. More than 60 people put their faith in Jesus Christ alone for salvation during that amazing week of ministry. And more than 40 students declared that they want to become missionaries after high school. That's an amazing thing that God was doing. To give you a taste of what Lead the Cause Virtual is like, and to give you a moment to go ahead and make some coffee and get ready for the rest of the program, here is Polen Band leading worship for the virtual Lead the Cause event and for our enjoyment as well, a song called You Are Glorious. on, let's put our hands together now. God is good.
Here we are, Lord, standing before you, asking for your grace again. Consumed by our needs, blinded by our greed. Oh, wash us, cleanse us from our sin. Restore to us joy and gladness. Open our eyes, let us see that you are glorious, always holding us, the only thing our hearts could ever need. You are glorious, reigning over us, author of life, in you we find our peace. We are, Lord, humble before you, living by your grace again. Transformed by your love, you reached down and lifted us, you saved us, you freed us from our sin. Fill our hearts with joy and gladness. Open our eyes, let us see that you are glorious, always holding us, the only thing our hearts could ever need. You are glorious, reigning over us, author of life, in you we find our peace.
Yes, Lord. Oh, sing out to the Lord. Everything, you are all we need.
You are all we need. You are all we need. You are all we need.
That's right, you are everything.
You are all we need. You are all we need. You are all we need.
Restore to us.
Restore to us joy and gladness. Open our eyes, let us see that you are glorious, always holding us, the only thing our hearts could ever need. You are glorious, reigning over us, author of life, in you we find our peace. You are glorious, always holding us, the only thing our hearts could ever need. You are glorious, reigning over us, author of life, in you we find our peace.
Hi, this is Doug Holliday from Sun Life Ministries. And what a honor and privilege it is for me to share with you about the amazing relationship that I've been able to enjoy with Jeff Polen over the past several years. And I remember when Jeff and I first connected, it was at a leadership retreat, and I was speaking and leading those leaders at that event through a time of prayer. Jeff was the worship leader for that event, and he was working together with me in navigating through that prayer time. And it just, his heart came through the way that we were able to work together. Afterwards, I said, Jeff, we got to find a way to to work together more in the future. I love your heart. I love how God uses you in this way. You know, it wasn't long after that where Jeff was in the midst of transition in ministry, and I just somehow sensed that God had put it on my heart to tell him, you know, Jeff, I think God might be calling you to be a musicianary. Kind of a fun term, but I think it struck a chord with Jeff, and said, you know, I think that might be what God is calling me to do. Be someone who speaks, teaches, does worship, and in the midst of that is living by faith and trusting God to raise up a team around me who will support me in that way. And, you know, I've been blessed not only personally in that interaction with Jeff, but our ministry, Sun Life Ministries, as we train and equip leaders in disciple making. Jeff has partnered together with us in that. At our annual disciple making conference, we've had it here in Orlando where I live for several years, and the Jeff Polen band has come down and served at that, leading worship at the conference. And Jeff's heart to lead and the team that he's built together with that band, just amazing. They're not coming as the professionals on the stage. They're coming as fellow ministers, serving those who are there. Not only that, but Jeff joining us several times now on our Israel study tour, and leading worship, and they're amazing on the Sea of Galilee early in the morning as the sun is rising over the Sea of Galilee, to have Jeff leading us through a time of prayer and worship. What a gift. I can't tell you how much I love this brother and appreciate the ministry that God has given him. And it's my prayer that you would get behind him, that you would support Jeff in this call that God has placed on his life. God is using Jeff in incredible ways. God bless.
He left his computer on. I'm totally logging in as Jeff Polen, because that is who I am. Zoom calls. Let's do that. Greg Steer! Greg Steer, I'm calling you right now. Steer me in the right direction, Greg. Ugh. Jeff Polen got a good voice. All right. No. Stop recording. Stop recording. Hey, it's Jeff Polen.
Yeah, no, you're not Jeff, but I'm sure you're a nice guy. But you're clearly not Jeff Polen.
No, it is. It's me. I don't know what's happening or what you saw. It's just, this is totally Jeff.
No, it's not. Are you that guy from the Zoo movie?
You like that movie? Oh, goodness. I don't know what you're talking about, because this is Jeff. No, listen, the reason I'm calling you is I'm doing that virtual banquet, and I was hoping that you could talk a little bit about what it's like to work with Jeff, or me. What's it like to work with me, Jeff?
I don't know what's going on here, but let me tell you how it's like working with Jeff Polen. Jeff Polen is a musicianary, and he loves worship. He loves music. He leads kids well, but he is also a missionary. I mean, he is a gospel-advancing, disciple-multiplying missionary. I don't know anybody else like Jeff Polen. He's taken this whole idea of worship and connected it with evangelism, like nitrogen and glycerin. And when he's on stage, it is explosive. And God does a mighty work in him and through him, and really, I think, points kids upward and outward toward Christ and outward toward the gospel. But you're not Jeff Polen. I think something's wrong with you, but in a very good way. I'm out. See you later. Tell Jeff hi.
No, don't leave yet. Ah, Greg. Ooh, look what I found. Face recognition isn't working though. Need some light.
Towards the end of March, when we were all stuck in our homes and ministry events had all been canceled, my calendar was wiped clean, I had this random idea of starting an online Bible study through Zoom. So I decided to put something out there on Facebook, and we were going to walk through the Gospel of John, one chapter per day, every day at 4 p.m., and I was blown away by the response. I would love for you to have a chance to hear from two of the people who were impacted by that Bible study. So here is a little word from Jade and Sully.
I just want to say thank you so much to Jeff Polen and his ministry for putting on the Bible study of John during the quarantine. It was definitely something I really looked forward to every day as we were home alone. Just being able to gather with a group of believers and talk about the Bible and learn more about who Jesus was amazing. And I think Jeff does a really good job of bringing out different things that you maybe wouldn't see, whether that's historically, contextually, that you wouldn't know, which was awesome. And I think overall this Bible study really helped me just fall more in love with who Jesus was. Yes, he was God, but he was also man, and that man aspect of him, like defending who his father was, and also that he was perfect. He was without sin. So those two really things stuck out to me a lot from the Bible study. So thank you so much, Jeff, for putting that together.
Back in March, Jeff put together a Bible study around the Gospel of John. Things had just shut down because of the coronavirus, and I was home from work, and it seemed like a cool thing to do. I was interested, so I joined up. It was a really good experience for me. I'd never been involved in a Bible study before, and I learned that a lot of the people on that same Bible study were very experienced with the Bible, much more than I was, but they still had a lot of the same questions I did. That was a good thing to find out, that I wasn't intimidated by everybody else on there. The other thing that was great about it was that with the large group that we had, whatever questions somebody had, there was always an opinion or an answer out there that made sense. Let's face it, the Bible's not extremely clear in all aspects. So anyway, it was a great time. I looked forward to every single day. I never missed one, and it was a good time. And I was sorry to see it end, but we finished all 21 chapters, so that was it. Maybe they'll do one again very soon, I hope.
One of the amazing, unexpected blessings of the online Bible study was that our third daughter, Piper, ended up sitting with me for pretty much all of the sessions. And she was engaged, and she was listening, and she was asking some great questions. After reading about the baptism of Jesus, God started working in Piper's heart, and she decided that she wanted to be baptized like Jesus was to fulfill all righteousness. Well, God was also moving in the hearts of our two oldest daughters, so they wanted to be baptized as well. And in June, I had the privilege of baptizing our three oldest daughters in the Atlantic Ocean. Like he always does, God truly made beauty out of ashes.
Hi, I'm Jill Metter, and I'm the Vice President of Operations at Dare to Share Ministries. It's an honor to share with you for a moment today about our partnership with Jeff Polen Ministries. At Dare to Share, our mission statement is to energize the church, to mobilize youth, to gospelize their world. We do this in a variety of ways, including events and other training opportunities, both digitally and in person. We also have downloadable curriculum and training tools and resources and apps, of course. We really do whatever we can to get in front of students and youth leaders and encourage and equip them to share the hope of the gospel with their friends and families and have impact in their communities. We've known Jeff for many years. He has brought students to our events as a leader. He has served as our worship leader on our main stage at several events. He's also helped us to steward and shepherd other worship pastors at smaller churches who are trying to pull off our digital events in their own context. He is a trusted advisor and friend to the ministry and to me personally. I cannot think of a time that I've asked Jeff for help or advice or to pitch in on a project that he has even hesitated to tell us yes. He's always happy to pitch in and be part of what the Big C Church has going on. We run in circles with him with other organizations and partnerships where words like sustainability and scalability and open-handedness and kingdom-mindedness are commonplace conversations. When you consider partnering or are partnering with Jeff Polen and Jeff Polen Ministries, you're not just contributing to one ministry, you're contributing to a large amount of work that's being done by several organizations, linking arms to make a difference for the kingdom today and into the future. So thank you, Jeff, for all you do for us. We're so grateful for you and Jodi and your whole team there, and we just wish you the best. Thank you so much, and God bless.
We hope that you are enjoying the Jeff Polen Music Ministry virtual banquet so far. I'm Jodi, Jeff's wife. We love being able to work together and to minister together as a family. If you are a current ministry partner, we want to say thank you. We know that we could not do what God's calling us to do without you. Thank you for your partnership in the gospel. It is truly making a difference. We also know that some of you watching might not really know what Jeff Polen Music is all about, so we hope that this conversation, this event, will be able to make that more clear for you. So Jeff, how would you describe the Jeff Polen Music Ministry to someone who really doesn't know much about it?
So first off, I just want to say that we are musicianaries, and that is a musical missionary. So we really do depend on the faithful support of people who believe in this ministry and who have been blessed by the ministry. So thank you so much for the people who are keeping us on the mission field. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. We are people who said we are willing to do the work, and we do that as musical missionaries. With the Jeff Polen Music Ministry, we really focus on 4 key areas of ministry.
Mm-hmm. And I think it would be really helpful if we tried to unpack those 4 main areas one by one. So we'll start off with the first one, which is singing and speaking. How would you describe that to somebody, and how does that play out in the ministry? How did it in 2020?
Sure. So singing and speaking is kind of the classical idea. I think as you hear the term musicianary, you probably think of singing and speaking. That's what we do. So we go to churches, to camps, to conferences. I will preach, I will lead worship. So that's pretty typical. This year was definitely a different year, as so many of our events got canceled throughout the year. We had to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And so we were singing and speaking in kind of unique ways, just like with this banquet. I spent a lot of time this year. At the beginning of the year, I was traveling around. I was in Georgia, I was in Florida, I was in West Virginia, I was all over the place. But then as things started shutting down, we had to get creative. So I spent a lot of time recording pre-recorded music here in the studio, and even pre-recorded messages that were shipped out to electronically to a lot of churches and ministries. So it was kind of fun to be able to do the singing and speaking thing virtually, though I do love being in front of a real audience. Are you guys real?
I know you were creating a lot of content throughout the year, and I think it was a real blessing to the ministries that were able to have you be a part of it that way. The second aspect is high quality event sound and lighting. What does that look like, and how did that play out this past year? So
the reality is that we have a fairly large sound system, and we're raising people up to be able to run that sound system, and we like to provide it for gospel advancing, God honoring events at a price that is incredibly affordable. The reality is a lot of times really well-meaning ministries forget to budget for the sound system, or their budget for the sound system is just no bueno. And so we try to be able to come alongside of them and offer an incredibly reasonable solution. Because when it comes to sound, you basically want to make it sound so good that people don't even know it's there. And that is always our goal. We want to make sure that the speakers can do their thing, the musicians can do their thing, and that the clear message of the gospel comes through for everyone to be able to hear without distractions. Now this year with the shutdowns, we did not have very many sound and lighting opportunities. We had a ton on the calendar, but they all started getting canceled, and that's okay. That's just the reality. But we have a great team put together, and that's one of the things I love about the sound and lighting is that we've got Mark Rao, who hauls the equipment where it needs to be and takes care of that. We've got guys like Nate Brown, like Ron Detweiler, like Ruben Miller, who are able to actually go set up the sound system and run the sound system. And I know that has been a huge blessing to so many ministries.
Mm-hmm. The third aspect of the ministry is Taylor's Playground Recording Studio. Can you help people understand why having our own recording studio is so important for the Jeff Polen Music Ministry?
Sure. So I love specific moments in time, and I think God uses specific experiences, and I love that. And sometimes it's just for that moment. But the thing about the recording studio is it allows us to capture something really beautiful that God is doing and then to be able to share it for years and years afterwards. So the recording studio is something that I've been dabbling with for years. And then in 2015, while I was on sabbatical at the church that I was at, I actually went to the recording workshop where I learned how to professionally record music. And now we're able to do our own stuff instead of going to Nashville to record. Not only are we able to record our own stuff, but we're able to bring in other Christian artists and musicians who have a great story to tell, but maybe don't have the means to share that story. So we can capture it here and give them a platform, give them an opportunity to share that experience with the world. At the beginning of 2020, we released Polen Band's There's Nothing New Under the Sun Volume 3, which was all recorded in Taylor's Playground Recording Studio. And we're working right now on There's Nothing New Under the Sun Volume 4. But, the whole world shut down, as we've been talking about. It's why we're having a virtual banquet. And with that, people weren't really able to come into the studio. So it was kind of a slow year for working with others in the studio, but I had an opportunity to do a lot of solo work in the studio. And one project in particular was a family song that we were able to record together, Great Things You Have Done. That was pretty cool.
So I know that we were able to give away the Polen Band There's Nothing New Under the Sun CDs for the Lead the Cause attendees in the past, and the IMX CD for the I Am Retreat attendees. Can you tell us how that all takes place?
Yeah, so that's all a part of the Jeff Polen Music Ministry, which is amazing. When Polen Band made our very first CD, and we went to Nashville and we recorded, and the final product ended up costing $25,000. For the second project, we were trying to do a little bit more ourselves, but we still ended up going to Nashville and recording some pieces of it. And so that one we were able to cut down to $25,000. Which is just not sustainable at all. And so, we ended up putting this studio together ourselves. I got the skills to learn how to really utilize it. So now when we put a record together like Polen Band, There's Nothing New Under the Sun, or the IMX CD, it ends up costing us about $2,500. And because we have amazing ministry supporters who are making that a possibility, then we're able to pass that blessing on to those students. And like you said, as they come to the conference or the retreat or whatever it is, they're hearing these songs. God's doing a great work in their lives and their hearts. And then they get to go home and continue to listen to those songs. So our hope is that God continues to stir up those memories and remind them of the great things He was doing at that event as they continue to get a chance to hear those songs.
Mm-hmm. One thing that's great about that is it really is an example of how all of these areas of ministry come together into one.
That's right.
Okay, the fourth aspect of the ministry is training and resources. Can you explain to us what that is and how did it look in 2020?
Yeah, so 2020 was an amazing year because it was a year that so many of the things we were working on finally came into fruition. And the biggest one is the Weekly Worship Thoughts book. We released this at the beginning of 2020, and it is a 52-chapter, basically a 52-week devotional for worship leaders, for worship teams. And that has been a resource that has been in the making. I couldn't be more excited about actually having the physical copy for people to be able to pick up. But we also, in March, had a Weekly Worship Thoughts workshop, which is a 2-day training where we train worship leaders and worship team members in some of those principles from the book. During that workshop, we also launched the first ever Jeff Polen Music School of Worship, which I'm so excited about. So there were 12 participants who were a part of this first School of Worship, and it really was just going deeper and training practically, but also theologically, based off of the Weekly Worship Thoughts book, but going a lot deeper and really on an individual level as well. So training and resources, we go around, we train disciple making and evangelism. We're partnered together with Dare to Share Ministries, with Sun Life Ministries. So we do the classic training churches, training church leaders, doing breakout sessions at different conferences. But I'm really excited about having our own resource, the Weekly Worship Thoughts book. That was a huge highlight of 2020 for me.
You mentioned the training in advancing the gospel and in disciple making. Can you explain why that is such a big part of your life and why it's such an important part of the ministry?
In the book, I teach this principle that for worship leaders, your primary purpose on earth is not to lead worship. It is to make disciples. Jesus made that so clear to us. Go into all the world and make disciples, right? In Matthew 28. I really want to make that my priority. I think no matter what you are, whether you're, a musicianary, a truck driver, a stay-at-home mom, whatever it is, your primary purpose is to make disciples and to advance the gospel. And so that really is the focus of everything we do. The singing and speaking, the sound and lighting, the Taylor's Playground recording studio, and the training and resources. These are all just tools. They're all means to the end of making disciples and advancing the gospel.
Mm-hmm. One of the things you mentioned a little bit earlier was the song Great Things You Have Done, which was something that we worked on as a family. That was really a highlight for me. It's an example of how all of these areas of ministry have come together as one. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, so at the very beginning of the year, January 1st, 2020, I was out on a daily run and I was just thinking about what a miracle it is that God keeps putting breath in my lungs. And I was struck by the idea He doesn't have to keep doing that. I'm so glad that He does, but He doesn't have to, and sometimes we take these things for granted. And I thought, well, here on January 1st, I made another round around the sun. I wonder how many of those I'm going to get to make, and that got my mind jogging. And when I got home, I ended up writing this song called "Great Things You Have Done." And when the COVID-19 shutdown happened in March, I decided, hey, we're a homeschool family. We've got this studio at home. So what if we spent the next little bit here in an independent study training the kids and showing them what I do on a daily basis? So we really just dove into a studio project as a family. And for several days in a row, we were knocking this thing out. And it was so much fun to teach the kids about recording and to give them a chance to really show their gifts and skills as well. So I played the guitar and the drums and did some programming and stuff, but Taylor played the violin, Abigail played the ukulele, Piper played the piano, you sang the harmony vocals, and we all kind of sang a background vocal, and we even clapped, which was a little bit of a challenge for some of the young ones, but we got it. And what a fun project that was. You can check that out. Actually, we did some behind the scenes videos. You can check it out at www.jeffpolenmusic.com. Click on the Great Things You Have Done link.
When we first released that song, we made our own little homemade music video, but we are excited to announce that tonight we are premiering the official music video for Great Things You Have Done. So without further ado, here's Great Things You Have Done.
I don't know how long I will travel, taking these trips around the sun, but I know as long as I'm able, I will make the best of each one. And each day you wake me up is a day I'll lift you up. Yeah. If these lungs keep breathing by your grace, then this tongue will keep pouring out your praise. And if this blood keeps beating through my veins, I will worship you, my God. The great things you have life. So I will walk where they have walked, knowing that you walk with us. If these lungs keep breathing by your grace, and this tongue will keep pouring out your praise, and if this blood keeps beating through my veins, I will worship you, my God, for the great things you have done. And I know a day will come when my days on earth are gone, and I will see you face to face. But until that glorious day, if these eyes can only see by faith, oh, this heart will love you every day, because your blood was poured out for me. So I will worship you, my God, for the great things you have done. If these lungs keep breathing by your grace, then this tongue will keep pouring out your praise. And if this blood keeps beating through my veins, oh, I will worship you, my God, the great things you have done for me. For me. Oh, the great things you have done for me.
Hi, friends. My name's Jeff Andridge. I'm the program director at Lake Geneva Youth Camp and Conference Centers. We're in southern Wisconsin, and we have the privilege of offering a life-changing experiences in Christ to our guests and our campers. We do a full year of programming for teenagers and families, and love to serve and come alongside churches and ministries. It's been great to have a relationship with Jeff over the years. He and I have known each other for a long time, and I've had the opportunity to partner with Jeff, being a speaker and a music element of our programs here at camp. Particularly one special part of that last year, Jeff came and did our music and said he could speak and be our speaker for a teen camp retreat. And so I was like, great, I've heard Jeff speak on and off, but mostly lead worship. And in doing so, Jeff was like, yeah, one of the first nights, I think I'm going to share my story. Well, as he's sharing his story, I'm thinking, wow, this is an awesome story of redemption. And it was a real privilege to be able to hear firsthand that Jesus had just made an incredible difference, both in Jeff's life and his marriage, and the legacy that he's developing for his family is super awesome. I am so encouraged and thankful for how God has raised up Jeff and his heart to be a minister of the gospel, to be a disciple-making leader, and be able to take the gospel into a lot of different places. And we really appreciate when Jeff is able to invest here. And so we know the leaders, the students, and even the families that get the benefit of his ministry is just a real blessing. So hope you're having a great event, and appreciate so much being able to share and brag on what God has done in and through Jeff and his ministry. Take care.
Well, if I am not Jeff Polen, then why do I have his cell phone? Oh, I'm gonna do another Zoom call. No video, though. Who do I want? I'm zooming Paul Belush! The Belush! Open the eyes to this Zoom call, won't you?
Hey, Jeff, what's going on? It's been a while. Hope you're doing well.
What? Is this Paul Belush, Bocce Ball?
Yeah, it's Paul Balash, actually. Balash, or in Philly, it's like, hey, Paul Balash, how you doing, huh? So who's this?
What? It's Jeff Polen. The real Jeff Polen.
You sure this is Jeff? Don't sound like yourself, bro.
No, it's sinuses. It's nothing serious, though.
I mean, I don't know. So, hey, man, you hear those sirens in the background? If you're not telling me the truth, I'm sending the cops over there to bust you. So, like, hey, okay, good. Well, look, I hope you guys have a great banquet. God bless you guys. Hope everything's all right. God bless you.
You hung up too. I'm Jeff! Guys!
This year, we launched the first ever Jeff Polen Music School of Worship, which was based mostly off of the practical teaching and insights from the Weekly Worship Thoughts book. The School of Worship is a 6-month program that started in March with the Weekly Worship Thoughts workshop, and it ended in September with just a small, intimate worship time around a campfire. I would love for you to hear from Jennifer and Julian, who were 2 of the 12 participants in the first ever Jeff Polen Music School of Worship.
My name is Jennifer Weaver. Something that I really appreciated about the School of Worship is that not only did we cover a lot of good practical things pertaining to leading worship, but we also spent a lot of time in Psalms, and we would spend time memorizing scripture every month, which was super beneficial. And we also talked about humility and what that means pertaining to worship and in our everyday lives, and just allowing God to be glorified in those moments of humility. Something else that I really liked about this School of Worship is that it was virtual. So whenever I was out of town, I didn't have to worry about missing a meeting. All I had to have with me was my laptop. So that was also really good. I just want to say thank you to all of the ministry supporters for making it possible to have resources like this that help others like myself to grow in areas where we would like to grow.
I'm Julian Koblentz, and I'm a real worshiper, not a paid actor. Had the opportunity recently to enroll in Jeff's School of Worship, and I found it was very helpful for me. One aspect that appealed to me was the balance of the course, how it combined group time and group work, as well as special training and even individualized one-on-one training for me on some things that I needed help with. Also, it was balanced from the standpoint of there were theoretical topics like theology and ideology of worship, as well as practical tips and applications, even down to technical tips on playing your instrument well. My only regret is that I didn't get to do this 20 years ago. So thanks for supporting Jeff and his ministry. Thanks for supporting his vision to offer the School of Worship for people like me who really needed it. Thank you.
Thanks again for tuning in to the Jeff Polen Music Ministry Virtual Banquet. Earlier, Jeff was able to unpack for us the 4 main aspects of the ministry and how those played out in 2020. We'd like to take a look at those again, but this time through the lens of 2021. So Jeff, can you lead us through the singing and speaking portion of the Jeff Polen Music Ministry and how you feel God leading us in 2021?
So obviously we're going to continue singing and speaking, and hopefully we'll be back in camps and conferences and churches and things like that, but we're not really sure what 2021 is going to look like at this point. I mean, we would have loved to have had a physical banquet instead of a virtual banquet. So we're not sure. And because of that, we're going to be a little bit more proactive in some different areas. And the 2 things that I see happening in 2021 regarding singing and speaking that I'm really excited about is I think we're going to end up doing some more pastors retreats. Pastors retreats have been a really cool thing that we've started doing that we weren't really planning to. We kind of stumbled on it, but the reality is in 2020, pastors, along with so many other people, had a really hard job, and they're kind of beaten up and broken down. A lot of them are tired, and a lot of them, I think, are having a hard time remembering their first love right now, which is Jesus. So we started doing these pastors retreats, just trying to help reconnect the people who are connecting the people to Jesus. And I hope that that continues in 2021, because I think that's been life-giving for us, but I think it's been life-giving for the pastors that we've been able to be a part of those retreats with as well. Another area that I'd love to see singing and speaking kind of grow into is actually going back to our roots. I'd love to get back into doing some house concerts. Smaller groups might just be a reality of 2021, at least the beginning of 2021. But, we have to be connected. We have to get together. And so we would love to actually start doing some more house concerts. And we have several of those planned up here in the end of 2020. And I'd love to see more of those pop up in 2021 as well. So if you are interested in hosting a house concert, bringing us into your home, I will sing and speak or whatever is conducive to your place. You can check that out at www.jeffpolenmusic.com and go to the booking link and just fill out the form saying you're interested in more information about a house concert.
One thing that I really like about the pastor's retreats and the house concerts is I usually get to be a part of those, and so that's always exciting for me. How about the sound and lighting aspect? What does that look like in 2021?
Yeah, so the sound and lighting is interesting because it's not really something that I ever seek out. Usually people seek us out for sound and lighting. And so I think the sound and lighting is probably going to basically continue. And if people are having events, hopefully they will consider us, and we'd love to bring our team and help people make their gospel advancing, God-focused event a success.
Good. How about Taylor's Playground Recording Studio?
So I am really excited about where we are at in Taylor's Playground Recording Studio. Last year at the banquet, we kind of made a financial push for some key components to the studio, and we were able to invest quite a bit of money at the beginning of 2020 into the studio. Those were incredible investments. The studio is really operating fully functional right now. So I hope that 2021 will be a year where we see more people actually utilizing the studio. We've got some people recording right now. Polen Band is going to release their fourth There's Nothing New Under the Sun, God willing. I'm going to keep plugging away at my solo project. We'll see what happens, but hopeful that at the end of 2021, we're going to release a Christmas CD. So more information about that coming, but I'm excited about that. I love Christmas music and can't wait to release a Christmas CD. We're also hopeful this year that we can raise up some more studio assistants. So for the past several years, I've had somebody come into the studio at least once a week to work alongside of me so I can train them and teach them. And I love that aspect. So hopefully we'll see some more people who are able to be trained up and able to operate the studio. Someday, I would love to see those studio assistants actually running their own projects from Taylor's Playground Recording Studio. This thing has to get bigger than us. It has to grow beyond us. So we're going to continue to invest into people, and hopefully then we'll see this ministry grow as more people are equipped and really called into ministry.
I know a big emphasis for 2021 for you is in the area of training and resources. Can you unpack that for us?
We are going to relaunch the Midweek Worship Connection. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. You know, the world we're living in, even right now, places are starting to shut down again. That's hard. It's really hard. You lose connection, and people are just longing to be connected. They're longing to connect with something. And so we were able to do a Bible study in 2020. We had a lot of kind of cool things happening, and I feel like for us to put an emphasis on the Midweek Worship Connection is going to be a really timely ministry for us. So we're making some major changes to it. If you've ever seen it before, it was too long. For me, it wasn't quite the quality that I was looking for. So we're going to shorten it like crazy. It's going to be a 5-minute message, a 5-minute music video. So it'll be stuff more like we saw at the beginning of this banquet with the Polen Band, You Are Glorious, and even like the Great Things You Have Done video. So that's going to be fun. We're going to ramp up the quality, and we're going to shorten it because the reality is that the internet is the source of really nearly infinite evil, but it could also be a source of good. And so, you know, this Midweek Worship Connection hopefully is something that people can find that will point them to Jesus, and it's way less intimidating than trying to darken into a church building, right? For some people, that is so intimidating. And so we're really hopeful that this can be a space where we can point people to Jesus, maybe for the first time, or, you know, people who have been walking with Jesus. It can be a source of encouragement for them on a weekly basis. One thing that's fun about this is it's super shareable. So you can click on the share button, send it to your buddy. Also, I'm hopeful that this will be a resource that youth pastors could use. Maybe they could commend this resource to their youth or pastors, ministry leaders, whatever. Hopefully it can be something that will encourage them along the way as well. I could see this, especially if churches are having to meet virtually, I could see this being a resource where they could tune into this and then talk about it afterwards. So I did a lot of that in 2020 informally, and this is really more of a formal, intentional push to invade that virtual space for the kingdom of God.
Well, I am excited about where we feel God leading us in 2021, and we hope that through this little conversation, it's been able to spark some excitement for you as well. We feel very blessed to be able to point others to Jesus through these areas of ministry. We feel like God is truly using the Jeff Polen Music Ministry in awesome ways, and we're so thankful to be a part of it. We also know that we would not be able to do this type of ministry without our faithful ministry partners who help us to be able to continue to serve in this capacity. The truth is that God is doing all of this awesome work, not just through us, but through you as well. So thank you for helping to keep us on the mission field. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few, and we are honored to be sent as workers into this mission field. If you would like to join our amazing team of ministry partners, please check out our website, jeffpolenmusic.com, and click on the Become a Ministry Partner link. We do have some needs, especially after a year like 2020, and your financial gift would make a huge impact. Now we do have one more song for you, and since we're so close to Christmas, we decided to share with you a new Christmas song that Jeff wrote and just recently recorded. It's called Peace is Possible Now.
Peace is possible now, because the child who would lay down his life stepped into our lives. Peace is possible now, because the light in the dark became the light in our hearts. Peace is possible now, because the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, because the Holy Son of God is here with us. From His fullness we've received grace upon grace in the light of His face. Peace is possible now. Hope is here with us now, because the promise of God, the Savior for all, stepped into our world. Oh, hope is here with us now, because the light in the dark cannot be overcome. Hope is here with us now, because the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, because the Holy Son of God is here with us. From His fullness we've received grace upon grace in the light of His face. Hope is here with us now. Emmanuel, God is with us. Hallelujah, God is for us. Emmanuel, God is with us. Hallelujah, God is for us. Peace is possible now, because the child who would lay down his life stepped into our lives. Hope is here with us now, because the light in the dark cannot be overcome. Hope is here with us now.
Hey everyone, Jeff Polen again with my 4 kids.
It's 5.
5 kids. That's a lot of kids. Anyway, we hope that you've had so much fun at this virtual banquet. My virtual banquet, Jeff Polen. A lot of great guests.
Nate, seriously, what are you doing?
You just ruined this take. I'm saying goodbye to the virtual banquet.
Bro, those are not your kids. Those are my kids. These are your kids.
He's right. I love those kids. Jeff, this is the thing. I'm sorry I pretended to be you. All right? I really wanted this virtual banquet to go well and super, and quite honestly, I didn't trust you that you weren't going to blow it. So I wanted to step in.
I really appreciate whatever it is that you were doing here today, but seriously, you got to be done. I need that seat back so I can wrap up this banquet. Kids, you can go find your mom, and Nate, go find your kids, man.
It's a good point. I should probably do that. They're growing up. Thanks, kids. Thanks, Jeff. Here's your seat.
Oh, my goodness. Hey, Nate.
Yeah.
I think you still have my phone.
Oh, you're right, I do. Don't mess it up.
Hey, my name is Zane Black, and I'm a part of a ministry called Love and Life, and we travel and train students to share their faith with their friends. Also work alongside a ministry called Dare to Share. We've had the privilege to serve alongside Jeff Polen. I just want to encourage you to think about contributing to Jeff Polen's ministry, or maybe you already are a supporter. It is an awesome investment. It's been such a joy over the years to serve alongside of Jeff. And here's what I've experienced. You know, often being the preacher, when you have not just a band, but a group whose heart is for the edification of students and for the glory of God, it totally changes the atmosphere of an event. It moves from really just an event to an experience where students encounter the resurrected Jesus Christ. So I encourage you, if you're already partnering with Jeff Polen, man, it is a good partnership. There is kingdom impact. And then if you aren't yet partnering with Jeff and his ministry, I encourage you to pray and ask God, would he have you to partner in what God is doing through Jeff Polen's ministry, and to think about, like, you would be making an investment in eternity.
Thank you so much for watching the Jeff Polen Music Virtual Ministry Banquet. Hope that you had a great time, and there's some other people that we really want to thank as well. So thank you to Joe and Heather Heatwolf from Better Life Coffee for donating coffee to everyone who RSVP'd in advance.
Thank you to Polen Band and the Polen family and Eli Beachy for sharing your musical talents with us.
Thank you to Matt Meek and Brandon Yoder for helping record the videos.
Thank you to Nate Brown and Eli Beachy for helping to record the audio.
Thank you to Nate Torrance, Greg Steer, and Paul Balash for their contribution to the little skits throughout the event.
Thank you to Doug Holliday, Jill Metter, Jeff Andridge, and Zane Black for being ministry advocates.
Thank you to Michael Sullivan and Jade Mast for sharing their thoughts on the Bible study.
Thank you to Jennifer Weaver and Julianne Copens for sharing their thoughts on the Jeff Polen Music School of Worship.
And thank you for watching.
Please feel free to share this video, and we're going to be putting out little bits of the banquet on YouTube in the coming weeks. But thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. May the Lord bless you. May He keep you. May He cause His face to shine upon you and give you peace. Amen. Bye.